Welcome back to Tabletop Assault. I'm Ross, and today I'm going to continue my segment where I discuss some of the units from the Adeptus Mechanicus Codex. Today we're getting on to some of the good stuff. I'm going to talk about Kastelan Robots, and they are a lot of fun. So they're quite an expensive unit, but hey, they are awesome. So let's have a look at the stats, their weapon options, special rules, as there is a few, and also I'll look at sort of ways to play them, recommended forge worlds and stratagems for them as well. So let's get at it. They are movement 8, so they have a better than average movement. I think it's higher than what it was last time. I think they're only movement 6 because they were just sort of infantry movement last time. They are weapon skill and ballistic skill 4, so they are, you know, hitting 50% of the time, so it would have been great if they had at least had ballistic skill 3, but we will have to live with that one. But still, average shots, average hits, you know, 50% will hit. They are strength 6, so pretty high strength, which is really good. They are toughness 7, so they are pretty tough, you know, same as most vehicles, which is excellent because these guys attract a lot of shots. 6 wounds apiece, so again, you're going to have to put a lot of shots into them to bring them down. 3 attacks apiece, so not bad, you know, 3 attacks apiece, yeah, I'd love that. Leadership 10, so hopefully if you are running them in a big unit, they won't be fleeing anytime soon. And they have a 3+ save, which is not bad. They've got a couple of abilities to work around all this stuff. So what weapons can they have? They can have a heavy phosphor blaster, which the stats for that is 36 inches, which is good, high range. Heavy 3, strength 6, -2 AP and 1 damage. Units attacked by this weapon do not gain any bonus to saving throws for being covered. So yeah, not a bad weapon, but when you take into consideration all the other things concerning Kastelan Robots, it's awesome. They have Incidine Combustor, murdered that. Range 12, heavy D6, strength 5, -1 AP, 1 damage. This weapon hits automatically hits its target. Now, interesting is 12 inches, you know, that's a slightly higher for a standard flamer, and obviously higher strength and AP as well, which is really handy. It might be handy to deter your opponent, or if you're going in for punching them, then yeah, it's a handy weapon to have. They also have Kastelan Fists, which is a melee weapon. This has +4 to strength, making them strength 10, which is awesome. It's -3 AP, which is excellent, and a solid 3 damage. So their fists are really good to upgrade Kastelan Robots, and ensures that you are going to be punching through wherever you meet, which is excellent. Option wise, in terms of the war gear, they are usually armed with Kastelan Fists and an Incidine Combustor, which is usually what I recommend for their fist modes, or the punch modes, which we'll discuss later. However, they can replace the Combustor with a heavy phosphor blaster, and they can replace the fists with 2 heavy phosphor blasters, often referred to as the shooting version or turret mode once you change their protocols. I'll explain that in a minute. So let's have a look at the special rules for Kastelan Robots. They do have Canticles of their Messiah, obviously. They have what's called repulsor grids. So all models in this unit have a 5+ invuln save, which is excellent, against shooting attacks, so not combat, which is not so nice. In addition, each time you roll a 6, after rerolls but before modifiers, so that's pretty important because you can't modify to get to that 6, it has to be basically a straight 6 even after rerolls, which is a cheeky thing to do. I don't know if that was in the index thing, you could actually do modifiers to actually get that, or at least in the previous edition it was the case. It's no longer the case, it's just a straight 6, so if your opponent goes, oh well, I've got Aegis Protocol on, I'm going to be bouncing 5s, you do not. You don't. I'll get into Aegis Protocol in a minute. This was actually pointed out to me personally recently because I didn't realise it myself. So yeah, on a 6, if you get a 6 on the repulsor grid's invuln save, and just the invuln save, the unit that made the attack suffers a mortal wound. Not great considering how, you know, you're going to have something that goes right through your 3+ save into your invuln save, and then you reflect it back of 6, means you're going to be suffering damage at some point. But it does mean if you make that 6+ save, have a mortal wound back, because yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. Battle protocols, now this is the important part for Kastelan Robots, so you've got to bear with me here guys. When this unit is set up, the Aegis protocol, see below, is in effect. You can attempt to change the unit's battle protocol at the start of each of your movement phase if a friendly Forge World Cybernetica Datasmith is within 6 inches. To do so, roll a d6 on a 2+, the attempt is successful, and you can select any of the 3 battle protocols that take an effect from the start of the next battle round. Otherwise, the attempt fails and the unit's current protocol remains in effect. So, important thing to know in that one, and I got this wrong myself, is that when you do change protocol, you've got to wait a turn. It's going to apply next turn. So you can't just go full on turret mode and start firing. If you do change this way, and there is another option later on, through the Cybernetica Datasmith, and it is only a chance, if you roll that 1 it's going to be devastating, then just remember that you can't fire double the amount of shots this turn or hit twice if you go into Conqueror. So what are the 3 protocols you get to choose from? Aegis protocol, while this battle protocol is in effect, and it is what you begin with, you can add 1 to any armour and involve saving throws you make for models in this unit. This is excellent, it gives them great survivability to start with, so you're looking at a 2+ save as standard when you're in Aegis, and you're looking at a 4+ invul. Keep in mind, you can only ever achieve the bounce back with the repulsor if you score a 6, not if you roll a 6, not if you add 1 to your invul save. It has to be rolled 6 because the modifiers for bouncing back don't take effect. Conquer protocol. While this battle protocol is in effect, this unit cannot shoot, but it can fight twice in each fight phase instead of only once. So this is often referred to as the sort of punching protocol. That's the one you want if you're getting them into combat. Being able to fight twice means that they've got 6 attacks apiece, which is generally quite scary considering their strength, AP and damage. And lastly, my favourite one, Protector protocol. While this battle protocol is in effect, this unit cannot move or charge, but you can double the number of shots it makes with each of its ranged weapons. The heavy phosphor blaster type becomes heavy 6, and the Incidine combustor type becomes heavy 2d6. So that is excellent. I'll go into more detail shortly. Basically referred to as turret mode, but being able to turn each phosphor blaster to heavy 6, and considering that you're more than likely going to be armed with 3 apiece, makes each robot put out 18 shots. Awesome. Sorry, no, I take that back. 6, 12, 18. Yeah, it does. Terrifying. 18 shots a robot. Pretty excellent. Change into that protocol, it does take a turn if you do it with a Datasmith, but I'll explain some stratagems later on that will hopefully negate that. Last thing is they explode. If a model in this unit is reduced to 0 wounds, roll a d6 before removing the model from the battlefield. On a 6 it explodes, and each unit within 3 inches suffers d3 mortal wounds. So keep in mind that's probably going to be a Datasmith, it's going to be your other Kastelan robot, possibly any other units you've got nearby, and also your enemies as well. Really, really bad if it does damage your Kastelan robot and your Cybernetica Datasmith. Just hope your Datasmith can recover those wounds if possible in their following turn. So I'm going to go over a couple of strategies and options that I look at for them. So there's 2 main sort of loadouts that people seem to go for here. But that's the way they sort of go. They are a fair bit of points, but totally worth it. So what can I say about the heavy phosphor blasters other than awesome? They are clearly made to deal with your enemy troops, as they're low damage, as they're only damage 1, and they're only strength 6, so they're not going to reliably wound vehicles. Maybe light vehicles, but not anything toughness 7 or more. However, each robot when armed with 3 puts out 9 shots, and when they're in Protect Protocol they are going to put out 18 shots, which is ludicrously awesome. I recommend that as one of your first command points that you do spend during the game is you change them into Protect Protocol through Mechanic Override. It's 1 command point, but it does allow you to immediately switch the stratagem. However, the only problem is you cannot switch your protocol anyway afterwards. You can't use Mechanic Overdrive to override that again. They are stuck there, they cannot move, makes them a wee bit vulnerable. However, it turns them from doing 9 shots a piece to 18 shots a piece. And if you've got 2 in a unit, you're going from 18 shots to 36 shots. I believe the math, and I could be wrong here, is that if you've got a full unit of 6, which I don't recommend, means that they put out, I think, 106 shots in total, which at a first volley is devastating. I've not done that at all. I don't own 6, but it's a lot of shots. So they are going to be, you can't fall back, and that is a problem. However, the amount of firepower you are going to throw at your opponent at strength 6, minus 2 AP is going to be devastating. I highly recommend that you have either Call or Dominus nearby to get those reliable rerolls, because they are only 4+ to hit, so you really want to make sure you maximise those shots. Next up we have Kastelan Fist Robots. Basically they've got Kastelan Fists with the Incidine Combustor. You can switch out the Combustor for the Heavy Phosphor Blaster, but most people consider it's not worth it because you are moving up the field and the Combustor really has better chance to hit. Why? Because it hits automatically, while the Phosphor Blaster will be 5s to hit. Unlike in the shooting modes where I recommend Mechanicus Overdrive immediately so you can maximise shots, I would hold off in Power Fists, mainly because, Kastelan Fists, as Aegis ensures you can walk up the field feeling much safer with a 2+ save and a 4-up inbuild. I'm still debatable whether it is worth having a Datesmith go along for the rides when they are walking up the field, mainly because you might actually outrun the Datesmith and can't actually change the protocol. But it is very handy to have a Datesmith go along with them because they are going to attract a lot of firepower, so it means you have the option of changing the protocol in case you don't decide to Mechanicus Overdrive, and it does allow you to regain wounds as well. But if you march up and outrun your Datesmith, then it's debatable, just keep a command point, switch it later on. However, once you are on your opponent's line, once you're close enough, change it to Conqueror Protocol, double the amount of attacks you've got, basically giving them 6 attacks apiece, and what can I say, punch them, it's going to hurt. Interesting, I'd say punch robots probably benefit the most from Canticles of the Non-Messiah. They can really get an advantage from obviously Shroud Slam, but you're aiming for Canticles of the, I think is it Chant of Remorseless Fists, which allows you to reroll ones in the fight phase, because obviously Domuses and things don't allow that. It is basically the best way to ensure that you're getting your maximum amount of hits. So if you are running a combat-based Ad Mech force, or you've got Kastelan Robots targeting a unit that is vital that they get punched out of existence, then yeah, it might be worth that. You want to try and get the Chant of Remorseless Fists. Interestingly, I would say real ones, yeah. I should say they don't benefit so much from Invocation of Machine Might, which is the one I think has +1 to strength, mainly because it comes strength 11, so it's only going to become a real big difference if you are punching something that is toughness 10 or 11, or if it's like toughness 20, if that's possible. But generally, at strength 10 they're pretty reliable. I would obviously want the Canticle of Chant of Remorseless Fist over Invocation of Might. Even Shroud Slam I would take over it as well, but they're going to benefit more from the Remorseless Fists. One thing to note is about unit size. They can also be taken in a unit of 6, so that's quite a lot of them, and it's a lot of points as well, which might sound like a lot of fun, but be careful as it can be a trap, especially if you take the Heavy Phosphor blasters, because if you get caught in combat you have no AP in combat, and if you use Mechanicus Override you can't flee either. So basically I'd be like 6 robots stuck in combat, not getting out anytime soon, and it can be a real pain and a lot of points wasted over their potential. Equally I'd say that with the fist options you can go slightly higher, but I don't recommend going too high. Why? As far as I'm aware, they are not immune to morale, so they can actually, flee. These robots can run away if they decide, oh, no, not game for it. And against armies like Night Lords who like to really sort of lower leadership quite significantly, basically leadership bomb. Be careful, because you can think, oh, they're going to be fine, leadership 10. Then you've got, Night Lords that have lowered it by 4, and you've lost, 2 of your robots, and then you roll a dice, you lose another 2. Could be devastating. So I probably recommend no more than 2, maybe 4, maybe a bit high, maybe no more than 4 if you're fists, but 2 with the Heavy Phosphor blasters is quite nice. 3 if you want to risk it, but I personally find the best effect is with 2. So Forge World Dogmas that I'd recommend. The Mars Forge World Dogma is highly recommended. Again, Canticles of Messiah gives you Shroud Slam, -1, you know, that gives you cover and everything, which is always very, very handy, which we all love. Benediction of the All Messiah for rerolls when shooting, though if you do have a Dominus or Com nearby, they're going to cover that anyway. And if you've got the Warlord trait, it's going to be guaranteed that Kastelan Robots hopefully will have the rerolls, because their shooting is not the greatest at the moment, though there is ways to buff it later on through stratagems. But you want to make sure you obviously have either Benediction of the All Messiah on them, or you want to make sure that they have a character buffing them to get rerolls. If you are using sort of, you know, fist ones, then maybe you could get Shroud Slam and Remorseless Fist as well. That'd be more if you want to go down the combat route for Ad Mech. So being able to get both with Mars is kind of handy. Stagus 8, again for minuses to your opponent's shooting, always handy. Ryza is also an option if you've gone a combat heavy Ad Mech force, in which case you get reroll 1 to wound in the fight phase. Which with Fist ensures most of them are going to get the damage done, because if you're against troops, generally at strength 10 you're going to need 2s to wound. Just having that way to reroll wounds in combat, very, very helpful. If you are playing a combat Ad Mech force, which I don't, that would be quite interesting dogma. I'd love to give, I've been given a good list for a recommendation and a comment. I've been given for a combat heavy army, so certainly Kastelan Robot with Fists will be getting tried in the future once I make the purchases. Stratagems recommended. I recommend Elimination Volley. Wholeheartedly is awesome stratagem for 2 command points, which requires a Cataphrone destroyer unit with them as well. It means that the destroyers and the robots get +1 to their hit rolls, and that generally is very, very awesome. It means you're going to be hitting far more reliably. So yeah, great, can't go wrong with that. Benaharic Overdrive, I've mentioned enough times, but for 1 command point you ensure you enter the mode you need to be in. No need to roll, no need to wait a turn, you're in that mode. If you're shooting robots, I highly recommend you put it in straight away. Yeah, it does mean you can't flee, but you're just going to chuck out a whole bunch more shots, which is excellent. And if you're taking fists, then if you've either outran your Datasmith, he's lagging behind, or if you're basically wanting to stay in Aegis while you take shots as you're running up the field, then suddenly change protocol as you move forward. Great! Benaharic Override is one command point, highly recommended for Kastelan Robots. Benevolence of the Messiah is an okay stratagem in general, adding a layer of survivability to your units. Essentially feel no pain for 1 command point. Kastelan Robots are probably a good unit to have that extra layer of survivability, as knowing the damage they can unleash your opponent is going to probably make them a target priority. So a single command point to start, I think, ignoring 1/3 of the wounds that come at them. Really, really good. Now, if you're into some real fun, however, Lucius Legio Teleportarium and the Stagus 8 class Destined Infiltration are supposed to be a lot of fun with Kastelan Robots with Fists. I don't see anything that stopped me from doing this, so yeah, let's have fun. Especially the Clandestine Infiltration one, because you've obviously got that minus to hit on some of your other forces anyway. Because if you don't have first turn and your opponent, basically your robots appear very close to your opponent's line, your opponent's allowed to put an ungodly amount of firepower into them to try and shift them before they start moving towards their lines. You'll be in Aegis Protocol for first turn, so you're on 2-up save with a 5-up invul, and maybe activate Benevolence Homicide to give you sort of that feel no pain roll as well. Then you use Benaharic Overdrive, get into Conqueror mode, run up, because you're revealed in the battle round, so you can then move and charge with 8-inch movement. You're going to get into combat, hitting them a whole bunch of times, and possibly taking the whole of like first turn shooting straight at you. And hopefully they'll survive, or at least withered a lot, but the other part of your army probably wouldn't have taken any damage because they've been targeting the robots so much. So it works in that psychological factor where if you take Stagus 8, Clandestine Infiltration, and you have the robots there, it's going to really worry your opponent. And if you make them survive, yeah, it's going to be cool. You know, and then you charge in, and then if you're against Astra Militarum, it's like, cool, that was a fun tank line you had, let me just punch it out of existence. So I definitely want to try the Stagus 8 stratagem with fist robots because it sounds awesome. Sounds like it's going to work out really, really well. However, if you do get first turn, then just use command point and Mechanic override, charge in, smash them apart. It's going to be great. But keep in mind that infiltration for fist robots can be quite scary. And keep in mind that you're probably not going to take a data smith in that one, because with the Stagus 8 one causing match play, when you use a stratagem, you can't use it in the same phase, but it's done out with a phase, so you can actually put both, Kastelan Robot and data smith in. I probably wouldn't. I would probably just stick them into Mechanic override and not spend the points on the data smith and just go nuts. Have a lot of fun. So that's it for Kastelan Robots. Not going to lie, they're awesome. Great unit to add to any Ad Mech force. I feel command points can be sunk into them quite easily to make sure plans go ahead, but you can see a lot of benefits from the command points you do use. However, if spent well, they will do their damage. Is there anything that I've got wrong in this? Please comment and let us know. Or is there another way you'd recommend using Kastelan Robots? Please comment and let us know. Minus the fact I should maybe try and get some of the naming of them correct. But please let us know how you use them and any epic moments you've probably had where they've absolutely rinsed the opponent apart. I think I've had someone comment that they punched apart a Core Berserker unit led by Karn, though I think they took them with them eventually. But punching Karn in the face is always a pleasure. So please check us out on social media as well. We've got a bunch of products coming out, hopefully towards the end of the year or at the start of next year. But a bunch of armies, a bunch of cool stuff, and we'll show you the progress there. And please comment, share, like and subscribe as usual, and we'll see you in another Tabletop Assault Battle Report.